Good morning. Year 12 ATARs. It's Thursday, February 26th, 2020. I'm going to hope your tasks are in. I haven't been able to go through them and separate Jessica's from mine yet, so I'm going to get on that this weekend. So, we're supposed to be back at school on Monday. Hopefully, it's going to work out. Alright, first things. Last class was about the history, or a little bit about the reasons that trade is considered. Stephen's coming into the room right now. Hi, Mr. Stephen.
Hello.
Everybody say hi.
I'm coming to give Mr. Keith a document for BME students.
Okay.
For second semester. Okay. When you do your business plan.
All right. Good. Thank you very much. It's about finance, but we're putting the cart ahead of the market research.
It's ahead.
Okay. Thanks, Stephen.
But it helps them.
I'll check it. Thank you. Okay, free trade. So the last class we talked about some of the reasons why countries trade. That was incredible. Why they trade and the reasons that economists have given for free trade to be a better way, or at least build wealth in a way that gives economists reason to say that it's a positive thing. Okay, so the arguments for free trade are that even if countries have absolute advantage in many products, they only have a comparative advantage in some products. So therefore, in the end, it'll benefit everyone to trade, because ultimately the pie will grow. There'll be more pie, and therefore, if there's more wealth, then that should hopefully end up in everybody's hands, and it'll make everyone better off. Okay, so that's the main points there. Are specialization is that specialization means that you focus on what you're good at or best at, and comparative advantage means that you produce something at less opportunity cost than another country. Remember, opportunity cost. Okay, so before we look at this guy who I don't really care what he has to say, but he has a nice graphic that's useful, I'm going to go to our syllabus real quick and just show where we're at. So, host country and home government incentives for international trade, and then features and role of free trade agreements. So I'm going to talk about free trade agreements today mostly. I will highlight this for a minute. So host country and home government incentives for international trade, including grants and taxation. This is not a very difficult concept to really get your head around, I don't think. What it basically is talking about is that home governments can offer money, grants, to support. Usually what they do is they support research into markets, foreign markets. They support the Austrade group in order to give information to companies that would like to travel to a specific country. Sometimes they'll provide some money to support maybe research and development, or exporting or shipping. So those would be direct money. A grant is like a scholarship. It's money that's given by the government. It's not a loan. It doesn't need to be paid back. Taxation. So we talk about both countries. We have the host country, so that's the country that you're trading to, and the home government. So both countries have governments. So you could say host government, or home government, or host country and home country. It doesn't matter. So what taxation, and I think you can kind of guess what taxation advantages would influence, or what taxation policies would influence trade, the increase in trade. So if I wanted to promote new businesses to come from overseas to my country, say Vietnam, would my taxes be higher or lower? Would my policy be to make higher or lower taxes? Lower, right? I want to make taxes on businesses lower, so they want to come here and they don't have to pay taxes. If I'm the home country and I don't want companies to go overseas, what kind of taxation policy would I have? Very high for money that's brought back into the country. That's what the tax minimization lesson was about, right? When you make money overseas, you have to bring the money back home. So when you put a tax haven, you hide the money away from the government. But many companies would like to bring the money back home because shareholders are saying, woo, where's that profit that we just got for putting our money into Apple? It's overseas. So it doesn't count? No, it doesn't count until it comes back. So the home government can choose to have higher or lower taxes to encourage businesses to go abroad and make profit or none. The higher the taxes, the less companies will be able to bring the money back home. Think about tariffs. Tariffs. If you want to, so that's taxes. Tariffs are a kind of tax. If you want to, if you're the host country, say Vietnam for an Australian company, and you want Australian products in your country, what do you do with tariffs? What kind of policy? Lower, of course, right? Lower tariffs means that it's easier for you to import products from other countries. There's more competition for your products, but that's okay, you want that. Let's say you're Australia and you don't want products, you don't want trade, you don't want products to come into your country. It's called protectionism. What's your tariff policy? It's higher, right? Because you're trying to make it more expensive for overseas companies to export to your country. So taxation policy can influence international trade in both ways, depending on how it's organized. Grants are more straightforward. Grants are typically trying to encourage companies in your country to go overseas and expand. Taxation can work two ways. Taxation can work to encourage or discourage trade. Okay, I think that's the main point of that. This week I went over last year's examination, and I'll have to talk to you in detail about this, but the exam has changed quite a bit over the years. And this time I saw some questions that surprised me. It's the first time I've ever seen some of them. I'll point out one of them here. So the questions for the test, by and large, are taken directly from the syllabus and the course outline. So we can see here, it says the Australian and New Zealand Free Trade Agreement. I've seen many questions on free trade agreements on exams over the years, but I've never seen one that was this specific. It was very specific to the Australian-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement. I have to admit I was surprised by that. I bet a few students might have been surprised by that, but what we can learn from that is that our basic understanding of the exam is that anything on this syllabus, if you know all the points, if you know all the bullet points on this syllabus, you should be able to do well in the exam, as long as you can apply them. So even something that looks like a small detail that could be overlooked, like why would you ask specifically about New Zealand? That can come up if it's in the syllabus, and I was shocked. I'm still shocked a little bit. So that means that we actually have to spend a little bit of time and make sure that we understand that free trade agreement. But before we do that, and that's Yeah, before we do that, because it's got details in it, before we do that, let's look at the general ideas of why, what arguments that people make for free trade benefits. This guy, I don't know, I didn't agree with what he said. But again, it has a good list. So, for those people who benefit, or who argue for free trade, this is what they say. This is what they say. First one, specialization. Since companies have a lower opportunity cost, then this will give them the comparative advantage and allow them to specialize. So theoretically, if everyone does what they do best, that has the lowest opportunity cost, then that should be the most efficient production. Efficiency should bring us benefits, according to free trade arguments. And that's leading to efficiency. Competition, there's two reasons for efficiency. Specialization, right? If everybody does what they do best, they should do it, it should be the most efficient outcome. Number two is a competition. The argument is free trade should bring more competition. As a result, companies will have to be leaner and meaner and cut costs and find ways to be efficient. Companies that have monopolies can be lazy, it's true. They don't change, they don't find any reason to research and develop new methods. So sometimes I agree, competition creates incentives to cut costs and to use resources in the most efficient way. So that's a possibility. There's some truth in that. That's two. Three. Another argument for free trade is the benefit that consumers will receive. They say that increased competition results in lower prices. So if the efficiency of the lowest cost and competition between companies exists, then prices will have to fall in order for companies to survive. They will have to cut costs, and they will also be able to lower prices, or have to, because their competition will. So, an argument is that free trade benefits consumers because it lowers prices. It also lowers wages. Consumption. Another benefit that's talked about with free trade is that you have access to Doritos. In the past, you would not have free trade, and if you didn't have free trade, you would only have availability of the lovely food products that you have here in Vietnam. So your snacks would not include Doritos, but because of free trade, you now have Doritos. Doritos are good, so maybe that's a benefit of free trade. People from each country have access to consumer goods that would normally reside beyond their production possibilities frontier. So that argument is also saying not only do you get access to different cultures and the products that different cultures sell, but that some things that you could have bought would have been too expensive because they're not really possible to make efficiently in your country. That's fair. So if you like, fine wine, there's some benefits there. Listen to this guy. You get to hear his voice for 1 second.
But I am a consumer. And with consumption, each country has access to goods they normally wouldn't based on their production possibility.
Yeah, he's just repeating it. His voice is terrible too. Okay. Number 5. I think they had 10. There's books that have 10. Number 5. Supposedly, trade promotes peace among nations. When you are trading with someone, you have less incentive to start a war since both sides would lose. True enough. There used to be something called like the McDonald's theory of peace or something like that. Every country or any country that had a McDonald's restaurant in the past, no two countries that did had a war with each other. So if you had a McDonald's, basically you were in the group. You were in the cool group of globalized countries that would not be in wars. That changed in Iraq in 2003. They had a McDonald's. And then they had Americans started a war with them. So that theory is on ice. But I agree that there's less incentive to have a war when there are trade agreements between countries. But you would be surprised at how much international business was going on during World War II, even though there was a huge world war happening. It might be surprising to everyone. But we would hope so, right? You have something to lose if you have interdependence with other countries. Now we get to some weird arguments. Number 6, they say that one benefit of free trade is that it levels the playing field. Levels means makes it fair for everyone. So they say that this free trade would help break up monopolies and oligopolies. Oligopolies is a bunch of small group of companies that work like a monopoly. A monopoly is a single seller in a market. Monopolies have power. They set prices. They don't have to, basically, customers don't have a choice, so they're stuck. So they say that free trade agreements will break up monopolies and the power that they have as more buyers and sellers come into a market. All right, well, we can look at what they mean, and then we can look at the evidence. What they mean when free trade arguers, I don't know what you would call them, advocates, talk about this, what they mean is inside an individual country. So they're saying like old monopolies, old oligopolies.